Okay, I believe, Pat, we
Yes,
are live. What is up, everybody? Can you see us? Are we working? This is the nerdiest MMA Q&A you will ever see. It is a bit of a test run here. So if this isn't working right now, let me pull it up.
I said waiting for Drake Riggs on the YouTube.
Okay, let me try and watch it on my phone real quick. Says we're live
Refreshing
here.
too. Let me try refreshing. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we are live.
We're working. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I see Jin is here. James is here from the WMA Today podcast community crew. Thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And I'm sure you know Pat as well, since we did do some discussion videos over there after the good old body lock days. Now we're all moving on. He's a Sherdog. I'm an MMA Mania. And this is something we wanted to do for a while. So we're going to do it. We're going to battle each other in Pokemon and take any questions you might possibly have about MMA. That's why this is called the nerdiest MMA Q&A you'll ever see, because those two things don't go along too well. So, all right. Well, before we get into this, Pat, and I guess I can show off my screen now, which will look, like it's being broadcast to a TV, because that is exactly what is happening since I don't have it linked to my computer. You're going to have to deal with it. So it's good enough. But, oh no, Jin says, sorry, Drake, didn't know Pat was here. I'm out.
Man, what up?
Is here. What is up, Rain?
Rough.
All right. He's got something against the businessman. The man is keeping him down.
Yeah. And I apologize in advance for my mic quality, because my mic just went out and it's now saying it's not recognized. So you're going to have real...
It didn't sound
real
like it
good
the whole
old quality
time.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Well, then good. It's just garbage. Yep.
It's the same. It's about the same.
All right. Well, we'll leave this on. That's fine. But yeah. Wasted.
Yep. Rue is here. All the boys from the WMA Today podcast. Great to see. This is Team Magnum in the house. Intro. It's good to see you. Drake, Team Magnum is in the house. Yes, they are. I like the chat box on the screen. When I first got Streamlabs like last week, I was like, oh my God, I've been missing out, man. Like, it's so much better than StreamYard, at least in terms of what we can do with it, like making these things on the screen and all that. Jimmy's asking if he could be a mod here too, and it's my channel, so yeah, sure, you can have those abilities, my friend, even though I probably won't be doing too many streams on here. Tell me, were you impressed by Francis Ngannou's performance? Because I've seen mixed reviews on this, and we haven't talked about actually MMA stuff too much recently.
Yeah, that's a good point. Honestly, I was for what he had going on, right? Yeah. I mean, torn MCL, sprained ACL, is going to have surgery, be out 9 months. I mean, I just, yeah, I mean, for Ngannou to go out and do what he did, I think that's a fantastic performance given his limitations.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And the fact that, watching it and in hindsight, knowing that his knee was messed up, you could see in those first 2 rounds, he seemed very unbalanced, like very unstable. And then for him to go and wrestle, which I feel like might have been more difficult, when your knees aren't working. I mean, I thought it was pretty incredible, and I think it probably would have went a little differently if he was fully healthy. But I mean, the fact that he still made it through that way was very impressive. So, all right, we got plenty of people in here. I love to see it. Most of the crew, I appreciate you guys so much for following us over. I really do. Following me over, particularly, as obviously somebody in here is not a fan of Pat, but Ghost is here. Good to see you, man. James says it keeps freezing for me. Okay, well, this is why this is a test. It might be a little shitty.
Yeah.
But we're going to get through it. Sammy's here. Good to see you as well. So, Pat, we do have a question for you. As Rain says, what did you have against Whaley? Almost all vids I've seen you talk about her, they were all negative.
They weren't, man. I got nothing against Whaley. I have something against the way the UFC used her.
Right.
And actually, let me rephrase that. I have nothing against the way the UFC used her because it was the right business call, but it was. I think there was a lot behind Whaley that was not just focused on Whaley, the martial artist. And I guess I will admit at times I got annoyed because it seemed as though everyone thought that, her comments post Rose knockout were okay. And in the lead up to the fight, right, some of the comments that she made in the first fight were a little off base, I guess. But I have nothing against Whaley in general. Like, it's just there's a lot of business stuff surrounding it that I saw a lot of people making comments regarding the business and tying it to Whaley, and right. it became kind of a, like, that's not correct. So I kept pointing it out. But no, I don't have anything against Whaley. I hope she comes back. She's fantastic, right? Who else is going to give Rose? It's sad that she lost to Rose the rematch, because now she's going to be kind of stuck in Joanna territory, although we get Joanna versus Whaley too, I assume, which would be fantastic. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing against Whaley as a person or a martial artist. It's just there was so much business crap with what the UFC was doing, and people saying incorrect information, and that Drake, as you know, always makes me sound a little grouchy,
yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, I feel like that's pretty obvious if you're not just a total like racist hater or anything. So I was kind of saying some similar things, but I guess the boys will pick and choose who they want to root for. But...
I guess, yeah. I see Jimmy Kudo. What's Pat Steele hating on Francis? His great double jabber. I just said it was a fantastic. Man, I don't know. I will say against Stipe. Here's the thing with the Stipe fight. I am a known Stipe mark, and I know my biases. Right, I'm wearing a Stipe shirt right now, so. If I like seemed a little negative on the lead up to that fight of Francis's abilities, that's my fandom, and I will admit that that's probably my bias showing. But I have nothing against Francis. Otherwise, I'm so happy he won against Gane. It is so important for fighters in general. And his stance on everything, the way he's handled everything. No, I am a huge fan of Francis. Just not when he's fighting. I would hate to see Francis have lost this past Saturday, because he really stuck to his guns in there, and it was a huge, huge risk, and I'm glad it paid off.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm really happy that Francis won that fight, specifically for the fact that I thought the Gane hype was it just got insane, where he was the favorite and all this, like. People just completely forgot about how amazing that Stipe win was, Pat. I remember when we were talking about it on the Body Lock after it happened. I remember being convinced that, like, I don't see anybody being able to beat that guy. And I still, stuck to my guns and felt that way, and do feel that way, because, I mean, the fact that he did what he just did, not at 100%, still pretty nuts. But, like, everyone completely forgot about that after the John Jones stuff didn't happen. Like, right at the press conference, pretty much. You remember how it went down that way. But that was just insane to me. I mean, MMA fan memories are just so goldfishy,
Yes, agreed. And Rain, I see Whaley's comments off base. I'm talking about, especially, I think her most egregious comments were when she lost to Rose and said, the fight was stopped too early. It was a fluke. Kind of downplayed it when it was a really good shot. It was well trained. It made a lot of sense. She got a little Henry Cejudo cringe going on when Cejudo was in her camp too, which is fine. You got to do that. But that's what I mean by that. I'm not defending Rose's comments. They weren't anti-Semitic. That's not the right word. But at least I don't think Whaley is Jewish. But
you never know.
But yes. No, I mean, the anti-communist comments and all that, we talked about that on the Body Lock. I do not defend Rose's comments for that. I tried to give a little bit of a backstory as to why she probably felt that way, but that doesn't make it right. I mean, it doesn't matter your history. You can't go around saying that stuff. So,
right.
I'm just saying that. But,
yeah. Oh, my
Are you
man.
inviting me to a battle?
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Uh, Joseph is here. My buddy says I know Drake IRL. Hey Drake, that is my best friend. I've known him since sixth grade. Thanks for tuning in, Joe. I'll talk to you in Apex later tonight. um, James says, "Do you guys think that Whaley is a perfect fit for Fight Ready?" So, interesting question. I've talked about this a good bit already, but since we're gonna get plenty of Whaley talk today, Pat, thoughts on that part of the recent Whaley developments?
I
I feel like it's too soon to say perfect fit. You know?
Yes, yeah. That I mean, I think it's probably a good call. To be honest, I'm kind of in a rogue camp here. I feel like, but I would really like her if she were to move stateside and live in Vegas. I would really like her to do Extreme Couture, right? Especially seeing what Francis did with that. Um, that's what we're talking about, right? The camp. Am I
Yeah.
correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fight
yeah,
Ready.
yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. But that's a a pipe dream that is a whole different thing. So yeah, Fight Ready I think makes a lot of sense for. I think it'll probably a good fit, but I think it is.
He showed some pretty great, improvements in wrestling. Offensively, of course, down the stretch, defensively, kind of still has some stuff to work on. But I've seen so many, Joe. I've seen so many mixed thoughts about her going to Fight Ready because of the result. But I mean, she arguably won, Pat. Like it came down to that
It
last
was
minute of the
very
third round for
close.
me. It was
Yeah,
insane. I flip flop on it a
yeah.
lot. So
I had Rose in the first watch. In the second watch, I think I actually had Whaley, and then I've been meaning to watch it a third time and never got to it. Um, but yeah, it's. I mean, that's one of those fights. You judge it either way, you can't be wrong, right? Like you just want to see it
yeah,
again. Um, I really wish there was a way you could do draws. If it didn't affect fighter pay, right? Like if both people got their bonus and then both got to
wouldn't that
be
be nice?
champions, I don't know. I know, right? Nice pipe dream, but yeah, I mean, those type of fights just make me want to see a rematch again because, yeah, I mean, if you do a third fight, it's very possible that Whaley wins, right?
Hmm.
I think she showed enough improvements. I think with some more time, especially as you said with the defensive wrestling, if she can get that short up, I think there's a good chance she wins that fight. So I hate the narrative of, oh, she lost twice to the champion, like she can never fight a third time. Like that, fighters don't just like plateau and that's it. Um, I think she has to earn her way back, but I think she's going to do that. I don't see much of a challenge. Well, there are a couple of challenges for her at 115, but I think she gets past them personally. But yeah, that's my. Yeah. That fight was so close,
Yep.
so dang close.
Yeah. So, I think it's a good fit. I don't think it's a bad fit or anything like that. I know some people absolutely hate it for whatever reasons, but like the fact that I've seen people go as far, Pat, and mostly from these guys telling me, but like saying other people saying that it was like it was Whaley's worst performance and all. I'm like, if that's her worst, that's pretty fucking good, Like, I don't know.
Right.
People are so all over the place with this for some reason, but it's whatever, I guess. And I'm figuring out how to invite you right here. I'm having trouble, but it's multitasking.
Yeah.
Tell me if you see
So I'm
anything.
in. No. So I'm in Victory Station. Do we have to?
Oh, okay. Is there a specific place to
Um,
go to?
Maybe is there because there's a versus right? If we're doing a fight. I mean, do we have to? I know there's a way to invite people. I don't know how to do it. I
I know. I
forget. Do
was
we have to be
looking.
friends on Nintendo Online?
I'm sure that would help. So the thing that's so hard about, well, what is it? Do we have codes? Because you can just pick any name you want on Switch. So like, my name is just
Yeah,
Drake, which there's gonna be several Drakes for you to sift
there's
through.
going to be 1,000. Well, here, mine is going to be pretty unique. It's Jolter 112.
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone take that. Um, and while we're getting that set up, let me see here.
We got Scott asking about the pay-per-views. Do you see that? Number.
Yes,
Yeah.
Scott. So I did not get a number of pay-per-views for UFC 270. I know 269 just came out recently. 270, I asked. I have not heard back from the guy. But yeah, 269 was about 500,000, which I think is important because it shows Dustin's drawing power, which is, I think that's around what I had him at. It's unfortunate. I would like to have seen him get a bigger bump, but I think McGregor's shine has lost a little bit in terms of rubbing off on people who beat him. 500 is still better than the norm for sure, but
Right.
a little less than you would have liked to see. So I don't have 270. As soon as I get them, I will let you know. But again, I always
Very
hear
fresh
after
as well.
Yeah, and generally I hear after others. Usually John Orland is the one who breaks them when he does. But sometimes he doesn't. You just have to ask him. So
Yeah. From the looks of it, looks like the visual for the stream is a disaster, so that's fine. But
yeah, I was gonna say, look at on the YouTube. I have it here. It's constantly buffering. My face is moving as though I'm, in a stop motion video. So
people can
apologies
at
for that.
least hear us though, which is fine.
That's true, and they can see us stop motion once we get the game going. I mean, Pokemon's kind of stop motion anyway, right? We can figure this out.
Turn based.
Yeah, it's turn based. Lots of questions here, Drake. Which one do you want to go for?
Let's see here.
There are so many.
Sammy says, "Did you think those were excuses from Whaley, Pat and Drake? I mean, most of the stuff was out of context. I'm assuming you mean the stuff after the first fight. I didn't really hear anything after this last one, but no, I never viewed him as such. People really spun that narrative, though. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and the way she phrased them, which again might have been a just out of context issue, but the way she phrased them, right, like not a great look for some of those specific quotes. But again, I don't think it was excuses. I think it was kind of a like, she truly believed that's what happened. This is what she has to work on. She's going to fix it in the next fight, right? I don't think that's an excuse, so to speak.
Yeah. Agreed. His Ghost is asking, really, why is the fight ready thing even relevant? It's because of that teabag on IG. We won't mention names. I very well could be. Cintro, if you guys were Whaley's coaches, what improvements would you tell her to make? Not her coaches, though, so I don't want to bother with that one. James is asking, which Pokemon game will you guys be playing? Trying to play Sword and Shield, so the current generation, but gotta send Pat my friend thing here, and you guys probably aren't even gonna be able to see this, so it'll be live commentary at least. But hey, this was all a test, like I said.
You'll see screenshots of it.
Yeah,
you
will
will
see
screenshots of our epic battle.
Yeah, because I put us back side by side just to see how quickly it would go up, and it's not even up yet on the screen yet. So, but we do have friend codes, Pat, so you can drop that in the chat for. Yeah, I cannot show that so that people don't just friend you, even though I'm sure you don't care that much. But yeah, just send it to me in our Zoom right now.
I will do that. Where do I go to find a friend code? Is it on my page?
It should be, yeah, on your profile. Let me look.
Okay. Some features are unavailable. Okay.
Right there.
Weird. Yeah.
Let's see. Jimmy.
Okay, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, well, he sent it to me. Jimmy says, does Joanna have an advantage versus Whaley in the rematch? He's also asking for a Ghost take. Well, I feel like definitely not. I mean, Joanna hasn't fought since that first fight, and Whaley's continually been active. Yes, 2 losses on the record, but more activity, more, training to improve and all that kind of thing, while Joanna's been seemingly on the beach for the most part and things like that.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd favor Whaley at this point. But then again, you never know. I mean, Ioana is Ioana, right? She she seemingly just has that type of fight a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I wouldn't be shocked if she pulled out a win. But yeah, I have to go with Whaley because she's been learning new things, fighting more often at a new camp. Got to lean her way.
Definitely. Sammy asking Drake, what do you think of the WMA YouTube community outside of your podcast? I don't pay attention to it, Sammy. I couldn't tell you. I don't have the time or the care. And I have some of the people I do know about, I think are just big assholes. So I'm not going to give them any attention. Because some people, man. James says, current gen, what happened to the first and second gen? I mean, they're still around, or you mean what happened to playing them? Well, certainly possible. I'm sure there's an emulator type thing I could get on here, but friend request sent.
Got it. Adding now. Block. Okay, here we go.
Block. All right. Okay, now let's see if we can figure this out.
All right.
What was the
there should be
what was the best Pokemon game, Pat? While we're in between figuring this out.
Ooh, man, this is really tough because for me, it was, and this might be a slightly controversial take, but I was a big fan of original Silver and Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked.
I mean,
really liked
real
Gen
quick,
1, of course.
Real quick, if I could stop you, the reason that we all know why Gen 2 is maybe the best automatically is because you get 2 regions. Like
yes.
my dream Pokemon game is to just have the entire world available. You know, like I want that so badly.
Right, and it was one of those things too where if you're playing Gen 2, you have no indication you're going to get a second region until like you get past right? Like it's like a bonus, and it's not like a little bonus of like, cool, now you can go to the cave and get Mewtwo or Mew or what have you and all that. No, it's like, oh, here's a whole nother game you get to just play. Like,
yeah.
I love that. And I thought, again, they took the best parts of Gen 1 and then added in some cool new features. I liked the night and day feature.
Yes.
I liked the cell phone feature. I liked it in theory. It ended up being kind of weird because you just get random calls from like bug catchers and stuff. But I kind of like that. For me, it's got to be Silver and Gold personally. But I love the first 3, especially. With, those 3 generations are pretty tried and true.
Yeah. No, Generation 3 was like probably peak of my addiction. Like I had all 3, I think. Ruby, Sapphire, then Emerald. I was just like, fucking loved how they had the secret bases and everything. All that kind of stuff. But it's hard to argue. And especially the remakes, though, of Silver and Gold were even better, dude. Like, my goodness.
Yeah.
So it is hard to top Gen 2, I think. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty easy to please with Pokemon. I still have never played, was it 5? The black and white ones? I know.
Yeah, but Black and White I've never played.
I've
heard it's very good. I've also wanted to play it, but no, I like I've told you before. I got Diamond and Pearl for me and my nephew. My nephew likes to play, and that's the first time going through that, which is great. But yeah, I mean, I kind of stopped after Ruby and Sapphire because I just didn't have a DS for a long time, which was unfortunate. So
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna look up how to do a battle online. So we have some questions that have come in that you can answer while I'm looking at. Well, we can both answer in the meantime. And real quick, Ghost says his favorites best was red, followed by gold, then leaf green. All right, so sticking with the early ones.
Yeah, I can't.
James liking Ruby and Sapphire, blue and red for Jimmy. Says glitches galore. I do remember the was it the missing no was horrifying. It was absolutely
Yeah.
horrifying.
Yes, it was very
Like,
scary.
especially as a kid, you know, like what is happening?
Yeah, you were just like, what is this? All right, what other things
Scott
we
here
have
asking
here?
for early thoughts on Do Bronx versus Highlight. He says tough matchup for Gaethje. Location is TBD,
Right.
but it's in May, so I'll bet Jacksonville if the past 2 years are a good guide. How about that one, Pat? All right, I'm gonna look it up now.
Ooh, in Jacksonville. So I don't think they'll go back-to-back pay-per-views there. But in terms of that fight, it's definitely the right fight to make. And I would actually argue the opposite. I think it's Charles's toughest opponent yet. Just because Gaethje is relentless, right? And he'll take those big risks to land big shots. And it's to me, I think that matchup is going to be who lands the biggest shot first, because Gaethje's going to stand in the pocket and still trade. He likes to be a little bit more measured, but we just saw the Michael Chandler fight. We know how that went. He'll go ahead and stand there and throw. And Joe Bronx has power. He really does.
Yeah.
People have slept on his power for a while, but especially lately, it's been just coming out in droves. I think it's going to be a slugfest, and it's going to be whoever lands that big shot. Great fight. I don't know who I have. I mean, Charlie Olives is probably who I'll back just because.
Have to, man.
Have to. But that to me is my most anticipated matchup at lightweight, because while I thought Poirier could get it done, Poirier didn't have and has never really had one punch knockout power, right? It's combos. That's what's always landed. He'll sting you and he'll kind of hurt you a little bit and follow up with combos, and then you're in trouble. But he's never had the type of power to knock guys down with one hit, usually, at least early in a fight. So I thought Oliveira might either tag him or get him in jiu-jitsu, because we've seen Poirier have a couple of struggles in that regard. This matchup to me, I think, is the toughest test for Oliveira at lightweight right now, personally. I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I definitely think it has the potential to be, just because even though we have seen Gaethje's chin cracked and that kind of thing, it still has been. I mean, he's still tough. He's still very tough and able to take plenty of damage, which we've seen in practically all of his fights and wars. Like, he's not a guy who gets finished early, right? He has to go through that fire,
Right.
And then maybe he'll go down after dishing out plenty. And you know that in terms of the chin battle, he's probably got a better chin than Oliveira. But Oliveira still is kind of, his chin's gotten better at the same time, though, you know? Like, he used to not be.
Yeah.
There was the narrative of questioning his heart going into this last fight with Poirier and all that. And he continues to show that, no, you don't need to worry about it. He can overcome adversity just fine and then still do terrible things to people on the ground. And yes, we know that Gaethje's very talented on the ground as well as a wrestler, but he doesn't ever use it. And we saw Khabib out wrestling, but that was Khabib, so I don't think we can take that too much into account. But I still think that Oliveira is probably good enough to get him to the ground somehow. Probably won't be as easily as Khabib because it's Khabib, but he's still fucking good, man. But yeah, at this point, it's like, after the Ferguson fight, I mean, we talked about it too, where it was like, I can't bet against Charlie against anybody now. I'm on with him all the way, and I'm still there after what he's done since then, you know? So.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, I favor Mr. Olives in this particular matchup, but it's at the same time, it's going to be an interesting one, because I could see Gaethje landing a couple of big shots, and that pressure from Gaethje will be relentless, right? That's something that I think you have to take into account with this fight. Gaethje rarely lets up on pressure, and that, I think, will be something that Oliveira will have to be careful of if he gets tagged and hurt, because he's gotten hurt in his past couple fights and survived, but you know, it only takes one wrong one to not survive that, and then it's game over. So I've still got Olives, but yes,
will be a good one. I think I've figured out how to do this now, but I see
All right.
the haters have begun invading, which that's kind of flattering that they're invading my actual personal channel, but this guy's about to get the old ban ski. So how do I do this? There we go. Okay, so Pat, go to, you know how there's the Y button in the bottom corner? If you're just like out in the world.
Yes.
Okay, so click on
Hitting that
that.
button.
Yeah.
Link battle. I assume. Is that what it is?
Yes. Let me go back here. Link battle. Yep. And then we get to make a code, I think, which we should just do 1111111.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
All right.
Should I do single, double? What are we looking at here?
I personally love picking double battles when I get to pick, but I'm fine with whatever. But I don't think.
I mean, we should probably have enough time for a couple, right?
Yeah.
So
Here, I mean,
let's double it up. Let's double it up.
Okay, well, so just put in all the ones here. I hope that that'd be hilarious if we connect to someone else on accident because it's just ones.
Yeah. It's just setting you to, yeah, wait a minute. I don't want to do this. It's just look at the link battle.
Okay, just puts it
Yes,
in.
I want to.
And then if you click double.
Oh, okay. If you both use the same code, then you'll connect.
Right.
So, all right. I've got it in there.
Okay.
I got double.
Me
And
too.
I'm searching for that trainer.
Yep, me too.
Watch somebody else use that code, and we're just
I'm
gonna
sure.
definitely. All right, let's see. I'm just riding around in the forest right now.
There we go. Rue says Pokemon makes a little more color in your life there. Rain asks, here's a question for you, Pat. What is Dana's problem with Sherdog in the past? Well, I guess I know that too, what the reasons are, but it's pretty much just Josh Gross, isn't it?
Yeah. It's Josh Gross and Loretta Hunt.
Right.
When Loretta used to be with us, that's the big one. That's the one where like Dana went absolutely off, lambasted her, like was a whole big. That's the initial one, and then Josh, of course, being who he is, did not let up on the hard hitting questions, and so that led to a lot of hate for the site. Yeah, say what you want about Sherdog, but they are very good about having
integrity,
ethical standards, and integrity. Yes, they, and they finally fixed the site. If you haven't been to Sherdog.com,
yeah, looks nicer.
You should go because it's finally not. Yeah, looks so much nicer, and it's not that black and orange. Yeah, but yeah, that's why Dana hates us. Dana hates a lot of media, but at least we're not perma-banned like Bloody Elbow or some of the other guys.
Indeed.
See, we got Craig Johnston. Hi, Pat and Drake. Pat, what are your thoughts on Zhang versus Rodriguez or Zhang versus Xiaonan? I think Whaley gets past Xiaonan based on what we saw Carla do. I don't know. Drake, what are your thoughts on that for Whaley versus Rodriguez?
Yeah, so I've talked about that one a little bit on the show as well. And of course, she's got to get through Xiaonan first. But yeah, that's a very interesting one. I think that in terms of versatility and kind of their offenses from Whaley, I'd probably give her the edge in terms of, just throwing more types of strikes. But Rodriguez, very, very long, lengthy, packs some heat. So does Whaley, though. But I just want to see it. It's one of those where, because of the fact that she survived for like roughly 8 minutes in that whole time span on the ground with the most dangerous person on the ground in that division and people. So it would be best for obviously Whaley to mix it up like that, but easier said than done these days. So yeah, Scott says new graphics are dope, and Ben Duffy may be one of the most hilarious MMA media dudes ever. So there you go. Shout out to Benny boy. Ghost,
He's a great dude. Yes. He's fantastic.
Ghost is rooting for Oliver, and he lives in Houston too, doesn't he? Or he lives by you, kind of.
Yeah, Yeah. He lives in a suburb of Houston, I believe.
There you go. Mary is here. Good to see you. She says, saw this in the notifications. Good to see you. Good to see you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, even though I'm sure you can't see much because this is the joyousness of the stream. It's funny, Pat. This is crystal clear on my screen, of course. So this would make for a fine just upload. Obviously, live it's struggling, but we could do this again just as a video. But then that leaves out all the Q&A fun part of it. But what do we got here? Sid Farah says, fave UFC fighters you've interviewed. So, Pat, you've interviewed less people than me, so I'll let you answer that one first. It appears I lost Pat. Says he's still in here, though. So, we'll wait on that. As Rue asks, doesn't Whaley just take her down like what Jack Slack and Ghost said? Don't know if Jack said that. Don't pay attention to him. I don't pay attention to him. And I don't quite remember Ghost saying that, but probably something about catching kicks and whatnot, which, yeah, it's certainly possible. Again, I'm not saying that won't happen. I think it very well could. It probably would happen. But a matter of keeping her there and whatnot. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out as we wait for Pat to come back here. Guess I will answer the question then. Favorite UFC fighters that I've interviewed? Oh, that's a tough question. There he is.
Yes, I'm back.
All right, what's the last thing you heard me say? You can tell your answer first because I got to think about that.
Ooh. That's a tough one. Yeah, it's a very tough one. Three stand out for me, I guess. It's going to be hard to pick between which one is the best. I guess you're saying UFC fighters, so I can list those three. So, really enjoyed interviewing Cowboy Cerrone at 238. He was very candid and answered my questions about Fighters Union and health insurance and some contract stuff, which not a lot of other fighters will do. But he keeps it pretty real. And then the other two were at, trying to think of what event, but Max Holloway and Jose Aldo were also pretty. Oh, and I can't forget Vanderlei Silva. Although that was an interesting interview because it was like sending him questions and then him sending me back audio of the answers. But those are my four favorite by far. Great interviews, interesting discussions, and again, just class acts all around.
Fair enough. And real quick before I answer that, Pat, it looks like I guess I don't have an online membership, even though I play Apex on this every night. So I don't know if we'll be able to play today.
Wow. Okay, that's hilarious. I was wondering. I was like, man,
I know. I was like searching for a while.
Yeah, it's like, well, if you don't have a membership,
yeah,
that will cause you some pain.
Yeah. And Sid, don't worry. He says the stream is constantly loading on your part. No, it's not just you. It's this is a test stream and it's clearly struggling a bit. So apologies for that. Don't worry. We're just doing the Q&A part anyway, as we couldn't get the game on in their own ways. But for me, I don't know. It's probably Jessie Jess, just because we, get along pretty well and that kind of thing. Always an entertaining time with her, and she always has to roast me. So maybe it's not the best one. It's always kind of mean. No. But yeah, that's a tough question. A lot of good ones to choose from.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I had in terms of just like hilarious interviews, Angela Hill and Tai Tuivasa have been. It's so hard, right? Like, there are some really great interviews, and then there are some just like terrible ones where you just kind of sit there and you're like, well, this kind of sucks, right? But
yeah,
it's, for the most part, I've had good experiences, but it's hard to choose from all of them.
Absolutely. Jimmy says, Drake, what do you think of the Kana army harassing that chest dweeb on YouTube? I don't know who that is, but it sounds like a thing you guys are having fun with. So there's that. But I'm kind of glad that maybe this didn't work out, because if it isn't even going to show up properly, then it's whatever. But here's a good question from Ghost as we do get ready to wrap up. Thank you guys so much for at least tuning in for 40 minutes of this nonsense. Ghost says, how come people actually defend low fighter pay? If fighters get paid, they will train better without worrying about bills, and you get fighters at their best, right, Pat?
I mean, hypothetically, yes. I'm not sure. It's kind of the same narrative that you see in a lot of. It's not just the UFC. It's a lot of companies where it's kind of like hey, you signed up for this contract or this pay, like this is what you have to do the job for. If not, start your own company. That seems to be the tagline of all this, right? I don't understand how people can defend that low of fighter pay, especially when the fighters are asking for more and are proving their worth. But there are a lot of people that don't understand how business works at all. I will say that. It's the same
Definitely.
people that I know. There are a couple guys that I worked with right out of college at Fidelity Investments who talk to me all the time about how, it's crazy that people are trying to demand better paying jobs and all this stuff. And they're working, making X amount of dollars, and they've gotten a couple of raises and a couple of promotion titles. And they're like, yeah, this is how you do it. You work corporate ladder. And then you can figure out how these businesses work. Business isn't that hard. It's really not. It seems really complex. They use a lot of fancy terminology and jargon, but it's really not that hard to see oh wait, if we're making this much money and you require this many people to do this work, how come you're paying this many people this? Where does the money in between go? And then following that. So for me, I don't know, it's people have that etched in their mind for whatever reason. And yeah, you would get better quality fights, you get better, I think you get more athletes interested, right? How many athletes have we heard about that, said, oh, I was thinking about doing this. The Rock just recently said he was thinking about going over to Pride. You have multiple wrestlers. Yeah, I know, right? You have multiple wrestlers who both pro wrestling ended up doing pro wrestling, but more so were D1 athletes, or, Kurt Angle talked about it at one point too, right? Where he said yeah, I thought about MMA for a bit. How much better competition and how many athletes did we miss out on in a sport because pay was so egregiously
uncountable amount. Just think of so many basketball players and those types of athletes.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Shaq might have done it.
Several Cyril Gons. Shaq for a lot of different reasons, but especially in terms of competition, you'd have way more Cyril Gons in heavyweight. You'd have way more John Jones in light heavyweight. You'd have way more, Piotr Jans. You'd have so many, imagine the depth we have now in some of the divisions times 10. I'm pretty sure that's what we would have if fighter pay was, you could actually quit your day job.
Yeah.
To get in as a pro.
Might help a little bit. Joe says, too many to choose from, Drake, in terms of favorite interview. He says, when Uriah Hall complimented you was pretty awesome. Yes. Don't count that one, though, since that was at a media day, but that was pretty great indeed. As he just went on his own little tangent about my swagger. And then he says, or hugging Chael. Yes, that is a good mention, too. The first Chael interview was actually a pretty big deal for me. And funny enough, here, I'll tell you guys, yesterday I recorded a reaction video of myself looking back at the scene stories for some of those interviews. But That was rough. That was very rough.
I have a couple of those myself,
Oh boy.
but I'm not compiling them into a thing. No, you can find them; they're still out there, but I'm not going to
Not
compile them.
gonna show you. Rue says, Drake and Pat, do you guys not like Jack Slack, even though he's the better version of Ghost? No offense, Ghost. Well, first of all, I my main thing with Jack Slack is he just seems like a big douche to me. From what I've seen, seems like he knows what he's talking about from the things that I have seen, but it always annoys me kind of when those kind of guys throw shade in ways, and I wouldn't say Ghost has done that a little bit, but nowhere near to the level of like Jack Slack and these guys who are bigger and that kind of thing. So that's my reason for not liking him. I don't think he's a bad analyst or breakdowner, whatever you want to call it, but I just don't really like his personality too much. So that's my thing with him. I don't know if Pat likes
I
him or not.
I mean, I'm gonna shoot straight with you guys. Like, I generally don't do too much watching of analysis videos.
Right.
Sometimes I watch it like Dan Tom because Noah met him. He's a great dude. Like to see his stuff. From all indications that I have, Jack Slack is fine at his job. Based on the one or two videos I saw him do, or one of the two podcasts he did. But yeah, I honestly just don't watch a lot of that stuff because I'm too busy doing like my work stuff. So I pretty much kind of have a narrow focus on general MMA events and business. I don't go into analysis all that much because I don't know. I just don't do it. Sorry, it's not my thing.
Fair enough. There's only so much time in a day.
It's why I did a column for the Body Lock called "Shitty MMA
Which
Analysis."
was fantastic.
Because it was literally like that's. Thank you, appreciate that. But yeah, like that's like basically when people tell me to do pick'em leagues or all this stuff. Like sometimes I look at like if I'm in a fantasy league, I'll get about it right. Then I'll start digging into it. But for the most part, like I shitty MMA analysis. That's the type of analysis I generally do for picking fights. So.
Say someone's got to do it. Jimmy says, speaking of Jesse Jess, does Pat hate Monster as much as Izzy?
Monster Energy?
Yes.
I mean, I don't love Monster Energy. I think their business practices are ridiculous. I mean, just like
that's their whole brand, though,
stupid.
Isn't it?
Yeah, right. It's pretty much like I don't know. They're pretty much like the one surviving brand from like the Affliction days, right? Like and the Ed Hardy days and all that like style. Like it all kind of went out of style except for Monster Energy drinks. They just kind of hung around. But yeah, they just I don't care for Monster. They're not my favorite. Leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm not an energy drink guy, but when I have my vodka and an energy drink, it is usually Red Bull. So there's that. Aside from all the other things, and I know we actually did a video on that back at the Body Lock as well, so you can hear more about that if you want to go back in time. Mm-hmm. Scott says, AD, you were right. You were at 238. How loud was Bullet's head kick on Jessica I? Triple C's performance there also sold me on him. That was a great fight.
Yeah, no, 238 was by far my favorite event I ever attended because the fights were fantastic. Was in Chicago, so I got to kind of go back home-ish because I have some family in the area. But also got like second row media seats. I don't know why, but there weren't a lot of media people there. Like there were, I think they kind of crowded in for the main event, but like there were less than I expected, I guess. And man, like the view was amazing. Got to watch, Tony Cerrone, got to watch Cejudo versus Moraes, but that kick was so loud in the arena. It was insanity. If I remember correctly, I had looked down and was typing something, and then I heard the noise and thought like a firecracker had gone off, and I looked up and was like, oh. which was like, well, I was doing editing videos, and because I was the only one there from Sherdog. So I was doing all of that stuff. So I missed the actual moment, but the sound, that almost made it better because I heard the sound then,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which was hilarious. So
Hilarious.
yeah. Okay, it just like it literally was, especially after the "Here You Go Evil" chant in the like there had been so much talk, which I mean I respect Jessica for doing her thing, right, and trying, but
Right.
it was just that was a particularly bad trash talk followed by the outcome of the event.
Oh boy, was it ever. My goodness. Let's see, what do we got here? Scott giving you some shit, maybe? He says, AD, have you resolved the dubbing of fighter walkouts yet? Just kidding, man, but this fan wants that process eradicated. Please help.
Oh, yeah. So Scott had asked me a question. I'm still looking into it. I have not, but basically there's dubbing of fighter walkouts on UFC Fight Pass, right?
It's because, after the fact. Yeah, right.
Right. And so it's a licensing agreement. I know that, but
it's terrible.
In terms of, like because like a lot of it is based on the songs that are used. They may be through Muzak or the other, forget the other big one, but there's basically two big entities that play everybody's catalogs, and then you get paid for using them. And so Fight Pass probably had to pay a certain amount of money to have them use those songs. And then every time there's a play on that video, they probably have to send a royalty check, right? So I don't know. It's a whole thing. I'm still trying to get to the bottom of that exactly, but I know it's licensing. Scott, I can tell you that much. That's just what it is. But
yeah, no doubt about that. So Mary asking, how many times do you think Maria will fight again this year? Okay, so right when I read that, I was like, which Maria are we talking about here? But I believe Mary informed me on one of the last WMA Todays that Maria is actually Whaley's name translated, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh.
So I would say in 2022, I mean, it seems like 2 has been the max for her in the UFC at best. Obviously only fought once in 2020, and then she was able to fight twice last year, but she hasn't gone over that yet. So I would say at least once we'll see her, but hopefully twice. 3 times would be amazing, but we'd have to get that first one coming up here soon. But she was very active before the UFC, so it's not that it's not doable, but it's just a lot harder once you get to this stage. So I think she'll hit 2 though, Mary. So
yeah.
I feel confident in that.
She'll probably hit 2. I would. Yeah, that would make sense, but especially because she's going to have a higher pay being former champion, and they've definitely started low balling the total fighter costs for cards. If you haven't noticed, lots of Contender Series guys, lots of New Deal guys. There's a reason for that. So Whaley, unfortunately, is going to be put in that bubble of making a fair amount of money, needing to be a co-main or main, which she deserves. But I can't imagine, depending on what her exact deal is, I honestly can't imagine they'd give her 3 right now because they're trying to cut costs so much.
Yeah.
But we'll see. 2 though would make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm gonna have to go here in a minute, so I can take 1 or 2 more questions. But then I gotta.
Right. So let's look at some of the smaller ones here. Jimmy asking why Jessica have so much hype. She did not. That was just ridiculous. I think nobody bought that.
Because of that sweet "Here We Go Evil" chant, man. That's why. That's why I bought the hype.
Let's see. Scott saying he's rewatching that event. James says, what was the most manipulative UFC matchmaking you guys have ever seen? Valentina Priscilla was pretty bad. Is that the answer, Pat? Is that the answer?
I mean, that's the most. I don't know if that was manipulative, right? Because that was. Didn't somebody fall out of that fight?
Nope. Nope.
So wasn't that like kind of like save the day? No,
Nope.
no. Oh, okay, then yes, that's 100% the
Yeah.
answer.
Originally, they
Yeah,
did
no, I mean,
want Jennifer Maya to debut against Valentina right away, but they couldn't work it out at that time. But that was like 2 months before they ended up booking Cachoeira, so it was not short notice at all.
right. Yeah, I mean, and another more recent example of true manipulative matchmaking, I would say, is Lewis and Gone,
Yes. Oh
because
yeah.
that was made specifically to extend Francis's contract. So yeah, that was kind of a very not cool thing, but there's a lot of them. But yeah, I'd say Valentina for sure is that's the most egregious, I think, by far.
Yeah, definitely very bad. Sammy asks Drake, "Will you ever interview Pat O'J?" I mean, us just hanging out and talking is pretty much it. Yeah, so.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can interview me, I guess. I don't know if you have if you want to ask me about business stuff or something,
But
then I'm
he's
more than
got you
willing
got your
to
own show
come
for
on.
that too. So sorry, Sammy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I
Probably
mean,
not.
yeah.
Rain says how annoyed is Pat with
If
the
I
chat.
make it one day.
Yeah, yeah. How annoyed is Pat with the chat bringing up Whaley all the time? I think he's fine with it.
I'm totally fine with it. It's nice actually because I haven't talked about Whaley, I think, since the last time you and I were on a
Right.
podcast, Drake. So I don't mind talking about this. It's a nice refresher from the I can't wait for Jake Paul to save the UFC garbage, which won't happen.
Oh boy. Okay, well, I'll leave you with this last one here, Pat, since it is more recent. As Sid asks, is it just me getting bored of all these potential rematches? Sometimes I feel like new matchups are more fun than, for instance, Moreno, Figueiredo 4, etc. That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, right? Like I get that, especially if we're talking like, I don't know, because sometimes the trilogies or the rematches don't live up to the hype, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll have fight 1 be good, fight 2 be great, fight 3 be kind of or some kind of mix in between. So I understand that, but when it comes to Figueiredo Moreno, I mean, is there a more exciting fight you could make right now? I don't think the answer is yes. I think that's the one, right? Because you got Kai Kara and Askar basically fighting for a number 1 contender slot. And so, okay, one of those guys wins, great. Are either of them going to be more exciting against Figueiredo or Moreno? Or based on the 2 fantastic fights we've seen, and even Moreno's win in the second fight, is that going to be the most exciting fight to watch? So it's merit wise probably shouldn't happen, but exciting wise,
Into that mix, either
yes,
is
of
great
course.
as well. But and we've already seen. I mean, both the Pantoja fights with Moreno were pretty fucking great. I think that no matter how.
And Pantoja's beaten
Yes.
Figueiredo.
Yeah.
That's
No, Moreno. He didn't beat Figueiredo, right? Or did he?
Moreno. Yes. Yeah. No. You're right.
But and then even
Yes, sorry.
Askarov versus Moreno won. I mean, they've all fought each other a bit here. The potential there, no matter how you mix these guys and get Kai in that mix, potentially, it's all going to be good. The problem is we've just seen Figueiredo and Moreno back to back to back, and they've all been pretty great for one reason or another. So that just automatically is going to be a safer bet, to guarantee fireworks, right? So
yeah.
But I agree with what Sid's
Yeah,
saying.
and
Though,
I mean
that
it's
the rematch is getting a lot.
yeah, no, I'd agree with that. And yeah, I mean, you're right. There are a lot of fun matchups there. It's just being 1-1-1. It's what do you do with that other than a quadrilogy? It's the only time a quadrilogy makes sense, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
It's what it is. But all right, I got to run. But thanks for having me on, Drake. As always, we will do this again. We'll get the video rolling correctly.
I know. We might just have to do StreamYard next time.
Yeah.
Until I get my internet fixed, because I think
you've-
that's the issue. Surely.
It might be. It could be a lot of things, but yeah, it's been fun. So I appreciate it.
All right, buddy.
But yeah, I'm gonna bounce out now.
All right.
Bye.
Later. Okay, you guys, let's see. There we go. Full screen on me. And I can close out my Zoom and I can finish up some of these questions that you guys might have, because plenty. I appreciate the interaction oh so much. I know that this stream has looked like garbage, but it's good to know that it looks like garbage when trying these things. This is the whole point of it, was to test out this kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm satisfied with getting an answer. I will take that. As we look at some of the other comments, Cintro says, Drake, how do you feel that Team Magnum and Kana Army follow you? I feel very, very lucky and fortunate that you guys are so interested and passionately interested, I guess is the best way to put it. It really does mean a lot. And like I said in my kind of update video about what's going on, when I really thought about it more, I could relate better, because initially I felt like it didn't quite hit me as much. So it does mean a lot. Appreciate it so much, and I can't wait to, have you guys around for more stuff in the future, because it will be coming soon, obviously, as next week is right around the corner. Even though I don't think the first episode of the new podcast will be next week. And if I want to do it live, I need it to be nice and smooth, which this stream clearly was not. Let's look at how it was, though, how it is with just me. I know you guys can tell me how it is, but I like to see for myself, so I'm going to check this real quick here. As Jimmy asked, why do smart analysts like Jack Slack and Ghost have that type of personality? Any theories, Drake? Well, again, I don't think that Ghost quite falls in line with, let's say, Jack. Breaking things down, I don't know, whatever you want to say. But I think John, JHK, might be right about it, because of the fact that, they can get away with it more by Jack Slack not showing his face and not telling his real name and all that kind of thing. So for those who have problems with him, they can't exactly find him. It's kind of that anonymity makes it easier to say whatever you want. And I think we've all probably been there. I know several of you guys probably not using your real names, and some of you obviously are not, which is fine. It is what it is. It's the internet for a reason. But of course, even in my younger days, I used some silly names, usernames. It's what it's all about, I guess. But anonymity is a powerful beast, giving you the freedom that you might not have in everyday life. I think that could be a part of it. So let me try and catch up here a bit before we wrap up. Dun, dun, dun. Oh my. Let's see, where are we? Rue asking, do you think they will treat Whaley like Dom Cruz and put her on the undercard? That is still one of the biggest travesties, in my opinion, is Dom fighting on prelims is just absolutely bogus and completely disrespectful. In my opinion, he doesn't seem to care, in his words, but you got to think that it's kind of like stings a tiny bit. I don't think they'll do that to Whaley. No, I don't know what the deal is with. I guess if you look at the fights, the cards that Dom has been on, they've been big, pretty stacked cards with some solid names on them throughout, and so he's not buried like in a traditional sense, but still buried considering where he should be. I don't know. I feel like they won't do that with Whaley, but it is possible if it's one of those bigger cards like Dom has been on, I guess. James says, why do fighters get disrespected by reporters in the UFC pressers? Because they're idiots seeking attention and not real media people. There, I said it. I know exactly what you're referring to. Probably this last press conference. Yeah. And we've seen several throughout the last year that were pretty ridiculous. Jimmy says Figgy looked so much better in this third fight. He did, even though I think he might have scored that for Moreno. I'll have to watch it again, but it was very close. As Jimmy says, go fight ready, mainly for Whaley. Ghost says we saw Moreno versus France already though. I don't remember that one. If we did, it's just a while ago. But yeah, so they're all kind of rematching, huh? Rue says, what would you guys think would happen if Whaley versus Carla were to be booked on the off chance? That would be absurd. I don't know what Rose would be doing. Just hanging out because Jessica Andrade has a fight now. So that would be something. That would be wrong in many, many ways. Rain says, Drake, have you ever met Henry Cejudo? I have not met him, but I've been around him. He was in the back at Bellator 2, whatever the last Bellator was in Phoenix that I was at, 260 something. I don't remember who he was there for, but he was in the back. I didn't meet him, but yeah, I've been around him. Sid says, awesome chatting with you guys. Keep up the good work. Till next time. All right, later, sir. Yes, Sid, I agree. Says 10 folks here, only 4 likes. Give it a like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, even though I won't be doing a whole lot on this going forward, but still going to be releasing stuff. Like I mentioned, that reaction video coming out this week. James says, did you ever think about training at an MMA gym like you discussed? I've been thinking about it, James, a little bit, not too seriously. I got to see how the schedule starts lining up going forward, as I should be pretty busy with some things. But Jimmy says, what do you think of Robin Black as an analyst? I haven't watched Robin's stuff in a long time. Like, it has been years, but I thought he was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Of course, he will always forever be tainted, or his thoughts will be tarnished by the fact that he picked McGregor to beat Mayweather. That is always going to be a stain on his persona or career, unfortunately. But hey, he went out there and did it. So yeah. As Alvin is here, good to see you, buddy. Good afternoon, Drake. You look very well. Thank you so much. I'm glad to hear it, even though probably still choppy on the screen, but I appreciate it. Rue says, how was Whaley like when you first interviewed her in 2019? One of the nicest people that I have ever interacted with. I mean, she was very, very gracious for the opportunity to have somebody, have so much interest in her and to write her such a big story. She was really happy with it. It was great. She's a very nice individual. So it was nice to be able to make her happy with that story. And, I owe her for giving me the chance. Jimmy says, someone already asked this, but who wins between Bo versus Zhang in a rematch? I did see that one. I forgot to answer it. Yeah. Whaley, of course, wins that. Like I said, I think that Mung Bo looked phenomenal in that first round against Tiffany Teo. And she went up a weight now. She's at 125 again. So I don't think that plays too much of a difference, but just saying. Mung Bo, I thought, looked phenomenal in that first round, but still showing some susceptibilities on the ground. I think it'd be fun. I think it would be, but I don't think that we need to break it down too much. We know who the better fighter is still. And Mung Bo's still fairly young, so she can continue to get better. But James asks, how can we get you to interview Whaley again? I don't know. Go annoy her, annoy Kai on Instagram. Mention my name. She knows who I am, obviously, and she has commented on some of my things. Not too recently, but, she's liked some of my posts and whatnot. So she still kind of has checked in. Again, not super recently, but still, I don't think she likes to handle media things anymore after becoming so popular. So it was a lot easier to get in contact with her back then. Not so much anymore, at least for that kind of thing. Like, she's responded and seen some stuff from me, but that's about the extent of that. Go says, what do you think about Henry's performance against Cruz and the fact no one has been able to replicate it? It shows how good Dom Cruz is. Not going to disagree with you there, Ghost. Not going to disagree with you there. He is, he's just the best. I love that man so much in and out of the cage. Always a treat getting to watch him, and I might have to go back and rewatch his last fight now that you mentioned that. But yeah, Henry, great performance there. And man, oh man, after seeing the last fight, it just makes me wish so much more that he got a chance to continue because who knows how it would have turned out. Oh man, bummer. That was a terrible day for me. Cintra says, what are your thoughts on that Aaron Simons guy harassing Ghost every week? So I'm only reading that question since it's on the screen now, but also since this is my channel, not the scrap. And this is just a fun little thing. Interesting, though. James also pointing out that that guy keeps harassing Ghost on Instagram. We need a take. I don't think you follow me on Instagram, so haven't even seen your profile, but that's interesting. Very interesting if he's the one harassing Ghost now when all the emails he sends me are him saying that Ghost and you guys are harassing him and his family and all this nonsense, which I don't know about, I don't care about, but it still comes my way. But should hopefully be over for the time being. I have no care for it, Aaron. If you end up watching this, which I'm sure you probably will, since you still followed the WMA Today podcast, even though you have issues with Ghost Phantom, clearly. So I don't care. Sort it yourself. It is not my issue. You're not Whaley's coach. I don't know what else I need to say about that. Jin says, what's going to happen to Steve? Steve will just keep on keeping on. I can't speak for him. He's, I think, not wanting to do as much social media things definitely anymore, but I don't know. He has his blogs and website type things, so whenever he feels the need to do whatever, he will. But yeah, Steve's still great. Still support him, all that kind of thing. At SteveK_MA if you are here and don't follow him or watching, listening, whatever. But yeah, I can't speak for what Steve will do, unfortunately. Jimmy says, have you seen the recent documentary on Whaley? No, I got to catch up on these. There's always something new coming out, it seems like. And Rue says, are you going to interview Ramona Pasquale? I think I will, Rue. I know that you guys want me to interview her, and I'm going to have to go back and look at the questions that you sent me on the last episode last week because I thought they were good, but I don't remember what they were. But yeah, Ramona was just on vacation in Hawaii, and I know that Nick interviewed her, but I wanted to wait till she was back home. So I think she should be home this week, so I can try and get something sorted out soon. But I know you guys want me to speak to Ramona again, and there's no problem with that. But all right, PHM_96. Let me copy it down real quick. And then, well, that's not working. Notepad, PHM. Okay, guys, I'm going to close up shop here. 117 stream Q&A did not go as planned. Wanted to play some games with Pat here, and at the very least maybe just do my own run through the battle tower or whatever it's called. I always like to do that, see how many wins I can go before losing. So that'd be a fun video to do or stream, but obviously with Streamlabs just taking up too much frame rates or bandwidth, whatever it may be, for my shitty internet, at least the audio could go through. And hopefully I can get this fixed soon, because I just don't know if I'll be able to do the new podcast live on StreamYard when the connection, as you guys know, was never all that great. But looks great as a video that can be uploaded. So yeah, that's that. As Centro asking, what did Joseph say to get him blocked? So I didn't do it. I let the mods take care of that, which I appreciate. But apparently he was saying some silly stuff about Whaley in China and all that kind of thing, which there was some today. If you guys noticed, somebody came in today and was saying some stuff. So kind of flattering that it followed me to my actual channel. Not surprising, though, because they went to my old interviews back when that was really bad and said some stuff on the Yan Xiaonan and I think Mengbo interviews as well. Xi Ming, I think, even poor, sweet little innocent Xi Ming, they got some racism thrown their way, which is just lovely. I need to catch up with Xi Ming as well because that's one of my favorite interviews I've done. She was great. Sammy says, what was JHK's problem with Rain? He doesn't have a problem with Rain. Rain doesn't like JHK. That's what it is. Rue says, will you still be covering the women? Yes, of course. Yes, of course I will be. So that is never, ever going to change. And here, I can do shameless plugs, and glad you still found it fun, James. Shameless plug that I did speak to Angela Lee, the one championship atomweight champion who is facing Stan Fairtex, you guys know, on March 26th. I appreciate you, Jimmy, saying still awesome. Angela Lee will be likely my first interview released for MMA Mania, so you can see that over on the channel next week, unless I get a more timely one in the meantime, which is always possible. But yeah, so look out for that. Chatted with Angela Lee. Real good stuff with her. So yeah. Jimmy says, will this be a video that will be uploaded? If you mean this stream, it will not be. I did record like 10 minutes of it just to see how it looks, but I know it'll look fine because the actual recordings look fine. But I will leave this stream up in its entirety of shittiness. But other than that, I don't think I'll re-upload it because there's no point. So okay, you guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I will see you, I don't know when, for a live show, as I got to figure that out, like I said, for the new show. But we'll have videos coming and all that kind of thing. Like I said, the reaction to my cringy first couple interviews, I'll be dropping that on like Friday, I think I'll do. So, yeah. Look for that. That was something. And then everything else. As real quick, asked Xi Ming, will she ever get to the UFC? I believe she will. Last time I spoke with her, she said that she was going to go back up to strawweight because they don't have an atomweight division, even though she's probably better suited for atomweight. So, and she didn't fight all of last year, which was very sad after 4 fights in 2020. So I'm really looking forward to catching up with her. But I think she will be. She's very closely working with the PI and on a good winning streak. So Jimmy says covering Ryzen events. Yes, of course. Of course. Not in person yet, if that's what you mean, but always covering Ryzen as well. Braun Ryzen sticking around. Braun Ryzen episode 12 is also out, so shameless plug for that too. Oh, don't mention it, Chris. God damn it. Perfect time for me to leave. But good to see you, man. Okay. So I'm going to leave now, you guys, and I will see you when I see you. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, yada, yada, at DrakeWiggs_, at MMA Mania. Go follow all their stuff. Until next time, guys. Appreciate you oh so much for tuning in.